I don't think there's enough Pro about these phones that could have been to warrant putting Pro in the name, but the names don't really matter. What does matter is these are the highest end phones that Apple makes right now in 2019. The truth is these are mostly pretty familiar phones to last year, which was also pretty familiar to the year before, but you already knew that. What's new is Apple's really focused on 4 major things for this new iPhone. So the design, barely. The new display, slight upgrade. The battery life, major. And these new cameras. So the design does grow on you, not gonna lie. We saw those renders and the models and nobody thought they were pretty, including me. But as usual, getting them in your hand and actually looking at them in person is a different thing, and it doesn't look horrible. I love the new matte finish. I think that helps a lot. The way it looks, the way it feels, even if it is technically a little bit slipperier than glossy, I will take a matte option in any phone every time. The camera square is the weird looking part. I'm just happy we got memes out of it. And it's funny, for whatever reason, the camera square looks indented, even though it's sticking out. It's all cut from one piece of glass, and it's kind of like this weird optical illusion, I guess. But this is the design that Apple has crafted for the iPhone 11 Pro. Camera bumps in a camera square. And yes, it rocks slightly when it's on a table. Apple does say that this is, quote, the toughest glass in any smartphone. I'm not gonna test that, but let's be real, glass is glass, so you definitely wanna protect it, or at least try not to drop it. It probably still will shatter. But the good news is it doesn't seem to scratch as much as the Pixel 3's matte black glass that this reminded me of. So the matte finish and the camera layout are the only really new things back here with the design. If it comes down to it, if you don't want to have to think about it anymore or just want to avoid any chance of fingerprints or scratches, you can grab a grip from our channel sponsor dbrand, and this matte black robot skin on it is actually a limited edition thing, so link below if you want to check that out. But around the front of the phone, it's going to look like almost exactly the same thing as last year. Same screen sizes and resolutions, same notch, same bezels. Literally, you could put it next to last year's phone, and you might have a hard time telling which one's which. This is the new one here. So this is what's actually different. Apple said they've improved Face ID to be up to 30% faster in the same space and work at a larger variety of angles. I can vouch for a tiny bit faster, and you'll only really notice this if they're side by side with the old phone, but you know what, I'll take that improvement anyway because it's for security, and that's better than nothing. But the variety of angles thing, I don't know about you, but when I read that...
Hey, what's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here. I've been waiting for this day for a very long time, and today we're gonna be testing the best iPhone 11 Pro cases from our customary 50-foot drop test tower. And it's a very special day because we're launching our new cases here on February 20th, the Phone Rebel series, frosted and crystal, and I'm very curious how they'll do on this massive tower, massive drop. And not only that, we've got all the best brands in here. We've got Mouse, Pitaka, Otterbox, Casetify, the dbrand grip, a lot of them that you asked for. Of course, we've got a bunch of iPhone 11 Pros here, all working. It's a very, very expensive video. I think the most expensive I've done so far, $10,000 plus. Some new ones here in case all of these get broken. And to commemorate the launch of our new phone case line, we're gonna be doing a giveaway of 5 AirPods Pro. Link down below in the description for instructions, and we'll be choosing winners at the end of February. Phones have changed a lot since I last did this video. The iPhone 10 was thinner, lighter, and we've gone through 2 generations of glass improvements. So I don't necessarily think cases need to be bulky and big anymore as the technology underneath them has improved. Not only that, they're thicker and heavier too. We'll see what changes, but it's always interesting. You know, these videos that really go above and beyond in showing the durability of a case. Let's go break some iPhones. A lot of money on the line here. All right, so let's pull one of these from the stack, and we're gonna start with the MagCase Pro. So this is Pitaka's heavy duty version, and of course they're the OG. They got the magnet system inside. Always will be one of my favorites. It's got these shock corners. All right, let's introduce it to the ground. Beautiful, beautiful day for a 50-foot drop test. iPhone 11 Pro. All right, 3, 2, 1. I think it did good. All right, first iPhone 11 Pro, and we're golden. All good. Literally nothing wrong with it. Pitaka's a survivor. Something tells me I didn't even need all of these iPhones. Next up, UAG Civilian. Actually really cool design, very bulky, nice and strong. And the UAG Civilian series. There we go. 50 feet in 3, 2, 1. Oh wow, that was face down. had a nice amount of bounce to it. Oh, wow. Okay, something has occurred here. So it hit the top corner, and I think it's just the screen protector. Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, so there are some dead pixels right here. It did impact with the ground right there, but otherwise is unharmed. So maybe didn't do necessarily too well on shock, but the glass has survived. Okay, next up, the Mouse Limitless 3.0. This is their new design. It's shaped like a banana.
So Apple has just taken the wraps off its three new 2019 iPhones, the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, and 11 Pro Max. Whatever you think of the brand, there's no denying that these will be among the most popular smartphones of the next year. But just because the iPhone is so ubiquitous doesn't mean it's always the best. In fact, we've rounded up the top 5 Android phones that best outperform and otherwise embarrass Apple's very latest. Take a sec to subscribe so you don't miss our future coverage, and we'll jump right in. Apple's new iPhones offer reverse wireless charging for the first time, along with a boast of up to 5 more hours of battery life compared to the previous generation, along with wireless charging on the phones themselves and 18-watt fast wired charging. However, none of this is remotely unique in the Android world. The Galaxy Note 10 Plus, for instance, offers a whopping 45 watts of charging power over USB PD. Most Samsung flagships of the past year have supported reverse wireless charging for topping up gadgets like headphones and smartwatches, and Samsung's phones, among others, also feature fast wireless charging for quicker refills without the wires. Plus, the Galaxy Note series is well established for offering easy all-day battery life. If you want even faster charging, a capacious battery, and numerous more charging options, it's definitely worth also taking a look at Samsung's flagship. Let's talk about the notch. While Apple has reduced the footprint of the iPhone X's hefty screen cutout in the new 11 Pro series, Android brands have also been working tirelessly to eliminate the notch, and to be blunt, they've made way more progress than Cupertino has. The obvious examples include the Note 10 and Galaxy S10 series with their hole-punch panels. That's to say nothing of all-screen devices like the OnePlus 7 Pro, which do away with the cutout altogether thanks to their pop-up selfie cameras. What's more, the OnePlus flagship also boasts a 90Hz refresh rate, quicker and smoother than anything Apple has to offer for a much more fluid experience. While Apple has high refresh rates in its iPads, it's still yet to offer this technology in its phones, which are stuck at 60Hz. In the coming year, expect more Android phones to offer this new faster display technology, potentially leaving Apple in the dust. The new iPhone arguably gets its biggest camera upgrade in years, with a new triple 12-megapixel setup in the Pro series, a standard wide-angle setup, a telephoto camera, and a new ultra-wide sensor that finally sees Apple joining the triple camera club. Android phones have offered similar versatility going back to phones like the LG V40 and Huawei Mate 20 Pro last year. But right now, the camera phone to beat is undoubtedly the Huawei P30 Pro, with its own triple camera setup that matches the iPhone and possibly beats it in some key areas. Huawei's homegrown RYYB 40-megapixel sensor offers unparalleled low-light captures, and that's paired with a capable ultra-wide camera and a whopping 5 times optical zoom camera that's good for up to 10 times in hybrid zoom. And that's far beyond what the...
Alright, it's iPhone time. Apple released 3 new iPhones all at once this year: the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, I honestly think the iPhone 11 is the phone most people in the iOS ecosystem should get if they're upgrading, so we've got a whole other review of that phone that you should check out too. But this is the Pro review, the dark mode, cash money review for professionals who use their phones to do pro stuff, like taking telephoto photos. Actually, I have no idea why Apple called these phones Pro. They're basically just nice updates to the iPhone XS, but I also think it's a waste of time to argue about names. iPhone 11 Pro Max is a bad name. But you know what? It's a great phone. And I think Apple might have done it. This is the best camera I've ever seen on a phone. Let's get into it. The iPhone 11 Pro looks almost exactly like the iPhone XS from the front. It's a little heavier and thicker, but unless you're comparing them directly, you probably won't notice. I certainly didn't. You do get a much bigger battery in exchange for that extra size, which Apple says leads to a 4-hour battery life increase on the regular Pro and a 5-hour jump for the Pro Max. But it's surprisingly hard to check that number. I'll get into why in a minute. The big difference from the XS comes on the back, where Apple says the rear glass is now stronger, and it comes in this frosted matte finish. It also integrates a glossy camera bump with 3 cameras. The whole back and the bump is a single piece of glass that's milled out. The iPhone 11 is the reverse. It has a glossy back and the camera bump is matte. Now you know. I got a lot of questions about this matte finish, and I think it's really nice, especially in this new midnight green color. It didn't really pick up any fingerprints, but it does seem a tiny bit more slippery than the gloss back of the previous phones and the iPhone 11. But I also think most people are just gonna stick this thing in a case, so it doesn't seem like a huge issue. A lot of people also asked me if this matte finish will scratch easily, similar to the back of the Pixel 3, and so far the answer seems to be no, but we're gonna have to keep an eye on it over time. Apple's finally relented and included an 18-watt USB-C fast charger with the Pro phones, so you get a USB-C to Lightning cable as well. Now, Apple's USB-C charger is not the smallest or prettiest charger out there, but anything is better than the slow 5-watt brick it's been including for years, so I'll take it. So let's get into these cameras. Apple has a lot at stake here. Google and Samsung's cameras have been outperforming the iPhone for a couple years now, and Chinese phone makers in particular have been racing each other to add an endless array of photography features. If you're in the US, you're probably locked into iMessage, and no camera is good enough to make you switch. But Apple doesn't have that advantage in big markets like Europe and China. Everyone uses WhatsApp and WeChat, and switching from iOS to Android is much easier. So Apple's added a bunch of features that first
Ever since Apple's iPhone event last week, I have been asking myself the same question. Do these new iPhones deserve to be called the iPhone Pro? Well, on one level, yes, because Apple made them and they can call it whatever they want. And while I don't agree with every decision Apple made here, these are still the best iPhones Apple has ever made. Is that enough to warrant this new name? Maybe. There are some notable improvements in these two devices, which I'll dig into in a minute. In other ways, though, the upgrades Apple made to the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max are so subtle, I think it would actually take a pro to spot them. Before we go any further, let's just get a couple things out of the way. Apart from their different size screens and a really clear difference in battery life, the iPhone 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max are basically identical. They use the same A13 Bionic chipset, they all have the same cameras, they both run iOS 13. You get where I'm going with this. If you're considering buying a Pro, your real decision boils down to 3 things: what color you like, how much storage you need, and whether you want to use a phone as big as the Max all the time. Because these phones have so much in common, they share the same design quirks that Apple embraced this year. They're both a little faster than the XS series was last year, and they both come in Apple's new Midnight Green, which really seems to be a crowd pleaser. I do have to say, it's only really green in direct light though, otherwise it just kind of looks more like a slate gray, which is honestly fine by me. These backs are made from a single piece of milled glass, and most of it has this really nice matte finish. It also means they're a little less prone to sliding around on certain surfaces too. Imagine this, you're about to sit down on your couch and you just sort of absentmindedly put your Pro on the arm. I do this all the time, and when I tried it, the XS clattered to the ground while the Pro stayed put. Your mileage is probably gonna vary, but in my experience, this new finish doesn't just feel good, it's actually helpful. I wasn't too worried about the worst case scenario of dropping this thing because the Pros use what Apple calls the toughest glass you'll find in a smartphone, and there's reason to be skeptical there. I honestly can't test that without trying to destroy phones I do not own. That said, my Pro test units have already withstood some accidental drops. Just keep this in mind though, tough in this case seems to mean the glass won't shatter. It's still pretty easy to scratch, so a screen protector is probably a good idea. Now, remember when I said you'd have to be a pro to spot some of the changes Apple made here? Well, the iPhone Pro screens are one of the best.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos.